Hey y'all, coming to you from the headquarters of ScottieDTV, but I was at the Detroit Autorama, and people have been screaming ever since the car came out. It was at SEMA, shoot the Ringbrothers Javelin. That's what we got, 1972 Javelin built by the Ringbrothers for Prestone. Very cool car. I know y'all are going to like it. Let's take a quick look at it. Mike, thanks so much for giving me some time this morning, brother.
Yeah, no worries, Scotty. It's always good. It's amazing how much reach you've gotten over the years, and we're glad to do it.
Dude, it's been a lot of hard work, but it's taken people like you to build the cool stuff so I can go show the rest of the world what we got going on here in the States.
We're glad you asked us to be part of it, that's for sure.
Dude, they have been screaming at me about the Ringbrothers Javelin ever since it hit SEMA. You know, I mean, I go to SEMA, I shot 30 cars out at SEMA. You know, it's SEMA. So, yeah, I'm posting them, you know, here's a cool car, here's a cool car. What about that Ringbrothers Javelin, Scotty? You shoot that? No, I didn't get that one. But, you know, the next time I do find it, I will shoot it for you. And I was lucky enough to run into it in Detroit. And tell me a little bit about that car.
Yeah, well, I can understand why you didn't find it at SEMA. It was back in the back 40, that's for sure. You know, that's a car that's one of the reasons I fell in love with cars is working at it used to be my dad's Skelly station, but he sold it to Jim and I's older brother, who was 12 years older than me and 14 years older than Jim. And that car rolled into the town of Plain, Wisconsin, which is a town of 600. And I saw that car, you know, originally, and it was like, God, we fell in love with that car. I just, you know, for some reason that Javelin hit me hard at that age, and I used to wash it and change oil in that car at like 12 years old. And actually, the last time the oil was changed in that car was 1977. And I did it, and it still had the initials on it in my brother's gas station. And
now we're talking about this particular car,
this exact
not
car.
Another Javelin.
No,
like
this Javelin. And then my brother Jim was working at the fish fry, the local fish fry, you know, for the church, and Jim was cooking fish, and the guy's name is Smiley, you know, and Jim's like, "You ever gonna sell that car?" And he had been in his basement. We all knew about it, but he says, "Well, I'd have to check with my daughter." He had one daughter, to see if she wanted it. He actually got back to Jim and said he'd sell it. And we had no idea what we would do with it. We were just hoping someday we could build it, and we were trying to pitch it to somebody. But, you know, it's an AMX Javelin. Who in the heck would put money in that we wanted to do into one of those? So finally, Prestone came to us and wanted to build like a Mustang or Camaro, and we pushed really hard to try to do the Javelin because we thought it would be a much better marketing thing since nobody's really done one that we're aware of to that level. So I think it's worked out for Prestone and definitely us because we really wanted to do it because of the history between Jim and I in that car.
To look at the car, obviously it's cool, but you would never guess it had that kind of history.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking about one of your neighbors bought this thing, I'm guessing, new.
Brand new, yep.
Yeah, and never left a town of 600, and now it's a rock star.
It's really been fun for us to show people what we had envisioned all along to make it happen. You know, the wheels, the main thing was just moving the wheels ahead on those cars to make it, you know, where people would notice it again.
Tell me some of the changes you have made to it.
God, you know, that was a car that we did a whole different way. We scanned the car and really worked with Gary Regal, our designer. And so everything from the windshield forward is machined. You know, we first started with 40-pound density foam and machined the fenders and the hood, and then made molds off of that, and then made all the parts in carbon. The grill, the bumpers, we machined all the trim up front, opened up the radiator core support was machined, all the tanks underneath that you can't see for, you know, the intercooler tanks, the windshield washer tanks, the radiator tank, all that was machined and O-ringed and bolted in to the radiator support. All the blinkers up front were rapid prototyped, and then we dyed them to, you know, for the blinkers. Our mills aren't big enough to machine like a one-piece bumper like that, so if you look real close, the front and rear bumpers are 3 pieces. so that we could machine them in house and chrome them. It was a big undertaking, but yet we really thought we retained that people would know it's still a Javelin.
Oh no, you didn't lose any of the cool. And you know, the Javelin and the AMX, you know, with those two cars, you wonder whatever happened to American Motors. How do you lose when you got those two cars?
Yeah, I don't get it. You know,
I mean, both those cars are cool.
Yeah, even the Gremlins are kind of cool. You know, I mean, it's like.
Oh, easy
what?
Now, easy. I don't know. If you sent it to Ringbrothers stuffed with cash, I guess a Gremlin would be.
Oh yeah, I didn't say Pacer. I said a Gremlin, but yeah, I hear you.
How is it? You're telling me that whole front end of that car is carbon fiber?
The whole front end from the windshield forward, except for all the bright work, that's chrome that we milled here and chromed, you know, milled out of aluminum and chromed. All the trim around the headlights to the grille openings to the bumpers and all that bright work was we machined in-house. And so, yeah, everything was machined, and then the back end, all the taillights were machined, the actual lenses were machined, the gas cap, the rear valance.
What's original Javelin?
Basically the tub. We didn't mess with the roof because the roofs are cool on those cars. Got rid of the drip rails, you know, and some trim around the sides, but that's really about it. Obviously not the floors or suspension or anything like that. So basically just the roof tub, none of the floors. The doors, we even rounded the corners and shortened the latches, you know, the door handles, because we made our own, and they're a little skinnier than stock. So that's about it. The quarter panels we cut off and made them a little wider, and then put wheel lips on them, because those cars, they don't have wheel lips. Because that car is so much lower than stock. There's actually the stock cars, the crease goes all the way through the whole car, where ours stop at the wheel lips. And we put wheel lips on it, because that car is probably about 4 inches lower than a stock one.
Did you widen it?
We only widened the rear quarters, only about a half inch. So where it kind of comes off the top of the quarter and flares out, that's about a half inch wider than stock. But this got 345s in the rear, and it gobbles them tires up pretty good. And it doesn't rub or anything, so it's at ride height when you saw it.
You wouldn't build anything you couldn't drive, would you?
Yeah, no, I think that's a waste. That's why I struggle a lot with Riddler cars, you know. It's like, I just think there's a lot of hours spent where I'd rather spend the money where you see it and in performance, so. But I appreciate all the work.
Yeah. That's it. The other side, I appreciate that there's people willing to invest that into our industry, and
right.
even if the little guy can't build to the high level, that high level stuff trickles down to eventually what he can afford to it. So and of course, I love to see one built to this level and know that it's going to go out and smoke the tires.
Yeah. I mean,
so that's cool too. What motor are you running?
That's got a Hellcat motor that we put a 4.5 liter Whippel on it, and Wagner built it, and it's, I think, just, you know, engine dyno, not the chassis dyno. It made like 1036, I believe, but that's kind of detuned. It's capable of around 13.
Holy cow!
If you wanted to turn it, but it's kind of, you don't need it. It'll grease the tires at about any speed for as long as you want it. So. Yeah, it's kind of, so.
Anything above 600, 700
yeah, exactly.
Right?
700 is probably a number that's just, why after that, you know? But
so it has a Hemi.
It's got a Hemi, yeah. But then we made it look old school, because, when Wagner was building that motor, they couldn't believe how good the valve covers, putting a lot more boost to it, how they breathe. So they're like, don't mess up these original valve covers. So what we did was we took some old 392 valve covers and cut them up, and you'll notice that the spark plugs aren't centered anymore like they were, because underneath there is the coil packs and everything. But the reason we moved the plugs up as high as we did, because one of the plugs unscrew, and that's how you fill it to the oil filler. So we lined them up to that. So they're really not centered like a true Hemi. So people will pick that out. But we made it look like an old school Hemi, and even hid the throttle body in the airbox. So if you come off the supercharger, you notice there's no throttle body there, and the fuel rails are covered with. We made it look like part of the blower got bigger to cover all the fuel rails up. So it kind of looks a little old school, but doesn't really have a real modern flair as far as the motor goes.
Cool. Tell me about the interior.
You know, the interior was inspired by $1 that we're getting, too bad the interior guys get shafted a lot. But really what I loved about those cars was it was all about the driver back then. And the dash was so cool to me as a kid. It felt like a cockpit. And I remember sitting in that car at 12 years old going, man, I just love how. So we really tried to retain the feel of the original car. So we left the dash, redid all the engine turning, that they had as far as the metal work around the gauges and in the doors. We just redid all that because to our knowledge it's not available or didn't see. So even when we made the new gauges, we mimicked the original ones, just like the feel of what that car was. And then eliminated the back seat, one, because of tires and tubbing, and just two, to simplify the interior. Again, it wasn't usable anyway, the space to be able to make the seats go back further than they did originally and make it for a big guy that could drive the car. So really wanted to retain the old feel where it was all about the driver. Even the white seats, that car originally had white seats in it, and thought, that 70s schwank there too.
That's right, dude. That's exactly what I was thinking. That is it's just like a tip to the 70s or what you're talking about. Everything else is so modern on it.
Right.
And even, when you look at that interior, you can't help but think like 72 or whatever.
Right. Yeah, so that's kind of where it came from. And, we tried to carry that out, with not making the motor super modern and not making the interior super modern.
Two quick questions everybody's going to want to know. What is the color?
We call it jalop gold, but it's actually a 2017 M3 M4 color from BMW.
Okay. And what size wheels and who makes them?
They're HREs. They're 13 by 20s in the rear and 11 by 20s up front, with a 305 35 up front and a 345 30 in the rear.
Awesome. Anybody you need to give a shout out to before we run?
No, just all our sponsors. I think people can see that, and Prestone for letting us build the thing. It was a car that it would have, I think, taken some corporation, and we've never done a corporate car, but I think it would have taken somebody to convince to do an AMC to that level. So I really appreciate them giving us the chance to do that.
And if people want to follow you, if they've been living under a rock and don't know who you are, what's the best way to follow what Ringbrothers is into?
Man, just Ringbrothers.com. I guess Facebook's probably really good, or Twitter, or Instagram, and just Google Ringbrothers and hit news or images on Google and see what comes up. And we're always posting on there that somebody picks up anyway. Good guys like you that get us known,
Everybody tells me, when are you going to shoot Ringbrothers? When are you going to shoot Ringbrothers? I just saw them on TV. And when I set up the interview, again, the average age of the builders that we're dealing with and all. So, to get them on a phone to do an interview is quite an accomplishment. But I call into your people, and they're like, would you like to do Skype or phone? I'm like, I'll just take phone this time.
Yeah. No, any time for you, and I'm still amazed at how good you look, man. Just the shape you're in from where I first met you, it's pretty cool, buddy.
Dude, I am. I'm so blessed. I start out with a dual-purpose camera in a parking lot to local crews in, and this morning I call into Ringbrothers and I get this kind of a reception, and you don't know what that means to me. I'm saying, yeah, all the hard work, but on the other end, to take people I respect like y'all and to know this is the pinnacle of the industry,
I appreciate it.
Guys, you guys just keep building cool, and I'll keep chasing you around, bugging you for interviews, and Yeah, man, I appreciate it, Mike.
We're always welcome to do it. We sure appreciate what you do. You know, we really mean that. If it wasn't for guys like you to take the time and really do it for nothing and just go around in the beginning and just, it's cool, you know, and people don't realize that all that adds up at the end, and we don't discount any of that.
Mike, I appreciate it, brother. Thanks so much for giving me time this morning. It's a beautiful build. I got a couple more of yours I got to catch up on. I got a 69 that I shot up there, a Camaro I shot up there.
Oh, yeah.
People are gonna like. So Don did an interview with me on that one.
Cool.
And that's cool.
Good guy.
And I'd love to catch the RV at some time. Is that still in the States?
It's in Ohio, actually, yeah. The Chris McPhee, a guy that we built a few cars for, the Chevelle, and that. He's an awesome guy, so he drives the hell out of it, and that's awesome.
Does he ever go to Louisville or Columbus?
You know, I think he goes to Columbus, but not Louisville. So.
Okay. Well, I'll try to catch up with him. Well, brother, keep me in the loop. And now it's funny because I was sitting there the other night thinking to myself, holy smokes, I got Nancy Ring's home phone number and her cell phone number. Ringbrothers can't hide from me anymore. I got Mama's number right here. You know?
Right. Well, now I'll know who some of those guys calling are. So.
Right on.
All right, Scotty. Thanks,
all right, guys. Have a good day. Thanks.
All
Bye-bye.
right, you bet. Bye-bye.
So there you go, from the 2018 Detroit Autorama, a 1972 Javelin built by the Ringbrothers. Hope y'all have enjoyed it. See ya. Hey y'all, make sure you subscribe to this channel and visit ScottieDTV.com for an easy way to search the hundreds of videos I have posted. Either click the link in the description or the one at the end of this video.